Ken Levine, a name synonymous with many a classic games franchise like Thief the Dark Project, System Shock 2, and of course, Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite. This guy has done it all, even earning himself the inaugural Golden Joystick Lifetime Achievement Award for his work. So it came as a surprise to many when, after the release of Bioshock Infinite and both its DLCs, he expressed how much stress completing a large title was at the conclusion of his work on Infinite, and decided that he would drastically trim down the studio, quoting, "To refocus my energy on a smaller team with a flatter structure and a more direct relationship with gamers. In many ways, it will be a return to how we started, a small team making games for the core gaming audience." Now, while Levine has considered, founding a new startup for this endeavor he took on, Take-Two convinced Levine that they would still be the best place for his studio. On February 18th, 2014, the studio was restructured. Levine kept about 15 other employees with Take-Two and 2K Games, and the studio helping to find positions, for the other 75 employees. At this point, Irrational was effectively shut down, though over the next few years it would continue to provide, additional job openings. Fast forward a few years. Around February 22nd, 2017, the studio announced it had rebranded itself as Ghost Story Games, though they were treating it as a fresh start as a newly founded studio. It was founded by 12 of the former Irrational members, with Levine still as president and creative director. The studio's focus is to create immersive, story-driven games for people who love games that ask something of them. The name was chosen as Ghost Stories are immersive, exciting, and steeped in community, similar to their design philosophies. 5 long years later, the new studio finally announced its first new game at the Game Awards 2022, titled Judas. Judas is an upcoming first-person shooter game that takes place on Mayflower, a city traveling through space. Computers control the entire society, including grooming the human residents to be model citizens and report on those that deviate from expected behavior. The game's main character, Judas, has been able to break free of that direction, her actions leading to revolution aboard the Mayflower. Now, the game's concept started in 2014 when Levine talked and explained ideas that would want to work on during the Game Developers Conference with narrative Legos, as he quoted, where they can alter story elements which they can then use to make a very replayable game with multiple outcomes. Levine added that the game would be a more challenging experience when compared with Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite. At the start of 2022, Bloomberg News reported that the game had fallen into development hell, with Levine's style of workplace leading to employee burnout. Now, what I find interesting about all of this is that for someone who didn't want to make any more Bioshock games, takes 10 years to essentially circle back and create a game that looks scarily similar to it. There's even a shot of you acquiring a shotgun by pulling it out of a corpse's hands, another classic Bioshock 1 scene. Very little gameplay has been shown for Judas, but what has been revealed bears a striking resemblance to Bioshock, even down to the character using superhuman powers shooting out of the character's hands. The dystopian setting of Judas's game world can't be ignored either, essentially making this like Bioshock 4 before Bioshock 4. It just seems odd to distance yourself so far from your previous work to not want to make another game due to the stress, to then stepping away and creating an entirely new studio to basically make the game you didn't really want to make anymore, Bioshock. It just seemed like Levine added a lot of unnecessary steps to basically make another Bioshock game in everything but name. We'll probably find out more in upcoming events, as there's no release date yet, with only Take-Two expecting the game to release by March 2025 at the latest. Levine has a good track record of making good games, even if most of them go through some creative lead mishaps that cause delays. Like with Infinite, that game was almost entirely redone, if anybody remembers, with the first reveal and gameplay, cut that they showed. It was completely different. Who knows, maybe this is all just a big tease by Take-Two, and this Judas game is actually related to Bioshock in one way or another. Wouldn't that be something? Now, would you kindly hit that like and subscribe button? I'll see you next time.